What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Leveled Up Life podcast. It is Branamier, Courtney, as always.
My main
man, Paul McClain in the house. And today we are doing a live podcast here at the Leveled Up Life Roundtable event. It's our very first time we got a live audience. Come on, make some noise, audience. And Paul,
good-looking audience.
A great-looking audience, and here's the thing, Paul. It's not just you and me anymore. Although I appreciate our time together every single week, it's not just us. We have not only my amazing wife, Mariah, with us, which is her third time now on the podcast. We got Diaz with us in the house today, who oversees our youth ministry. But we got the man, the myth, Mr. God Morning himself, Jeff Osborne, in the house today.
What up?
What's that? Oh, Jeff's also a repeat guest on the podcast, man. He helped us kick that thing off. And
that's that special guest, you know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
Jeff Osborne.
You come back 2-3 times, your family now.
Come on.
And so, man, we've been here at the Leveled Up Life Roundtable event since 9 o'clock this morning, and all of us have had the honor of gracing the stage and pouring into value, and pouring value into all the people that have come here. And what we want to do for the next maybe 30, 45 minutes is just answer some questions. There's everyone here today, you know, you raised your hand and said, I want to level up. I want to get better, whether that's in my faith, my family, my fitness, my finance, my franchise. And our heart and our goal of this podcast is to deliver value to you. And so, man, I'm just excited to be here today. Paul, I appreciate you for putting this together, dreaming with me, praying with me. And it's so cool just to see us sitting in an answered prayer. Right, we're actually sitting in the thing that we believe that God put on our heart. And so, as always, man, I love you, bro, and I'm so thankful to be able to do this with you.
Well, I'll tell you guys this much. It's just like what I spoke about earlier, the picture of hope, right? The longer you stare at it, the more compelling it is, and it'll eventually pull you into an action that leaves you sitting in a result. And that's really what we're doing right now. And I just believe that the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your life. And so these are moments that I kind of encourage you to go opposite of what I just spoke about, which is be selfish, right? Like, ask your questions. If we got time together, man, take as much from it. You know, if there's something on the plate, take it off of it. So I would just encourage you. I know that Christian's already got some questions that have come in, but when we get the mic out there, guys, be bold, ask a question. You might be one question away from a breakthrough in your life, one question away from reaching the next level in one of these areas of your life that you're really just trying to push forward. And so be bold. Think about the question. If you're like, what if it's a stupid question? We'll answer it as if it was a good one. So we'll give you some grace. You won't even know it. You won't even know it. It'll be a great answer, so I promise you so.
That's good. That's good. Hey, first and foremost, I think I speak on behalf of the crowd. I just want to say thank you to every single speaker that is on this panel right now. You guys have blessed us. You guys have provided so much value to us. Am I right? So first off, thank you guys. Like, this is gonna be super surreal, being able to ask you guys questions in real time. Because how many of you guys know, like, maybe there's some questions you have for Pastor Branamier on a Sunday, and you're just like, I gotta get to them, but then there's like a whole line going out the door, and you're like, dude, I can't ask the question, but this is gonna be your opportunity to not only ask even faith questions, but also business questions, entrepreneur questions, and you have not only the graceful Branamier, but you also have Mariah, you have Jeff, you have Paul, you have so many people who have so much wisdom and faith and knowledge that have been built up over the years. And so I hope you take advantage of this right now. It's gonna be so good. I have one question going into it just to kick us off. And this one is gonna go to Branamier specifically. How do you wanna be remembered as both a leader, an entrepreneur, and a person of faith?
Well, I mean, that's a deep question
That's
to start
a deep
us off,
question.
right? How do I want to be remembered?
Hey, keep it a buck.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
let's just go
Christian
right there.
just kills you off.
Yeah, let me just lay down, you know,
0
my
to
legacy.
100, you know?
Let me give my legacy statement live in front of
What goes on your
an
tombstone,
audience.
Branamier?
Yeah, here's my tombstone statement, right? For
go.
God so loved the
Let's
world
go.
that he gave, right? Man, I want to be known as a man who had integrity. I want to be known as a man who loved my wife. I want to be known as a man who loved my kids, had a good time with my kids. I want to be known as a man who encouraged people. I want people when they come around me to leave better than what they came.
Yeah.
Right? Whether that's just me, complimenting them, whether that's me building them up. I think over time, what I've learned is, especially in leadership, is you never have the opportunity to turn it off. Which I count as a privilege, right? So every place, every space I step into, man, I see myself as a leader. And so if I have an interaction with someone, I want them to leave that conversation going, man, I like that guy. man, I was encouraged. I feel blessed. I feel strengthened. And so I think just a quick answer off the top of my head, I just want people to remember me, or to, when they're around me, just to feel like I built them up.
That's
makes
good.
sense. I think the world does enough beating us down. Yeah. We need to be more people who build each other up. Yeah. And I think it just sets people apart.
Yeah.
So.
No, and that's good. I think that's a phenomenal answer. I think Jeff Osborne was talking about today about defining your win. And I think a lot of times we tend to live for today and we don't think about tomorrow. And I think it's planting yourself ahead of time. It's planning yourself into the future that ultimately will give you hope and faith for today, to get through the tough situations, to get through the fire. And so I believe that's the reason why I wanted to lead with that question initially. And so the next question is actually for you, Jeff.
Come on,
bring it on. Are you ready for this?
And by the way, let me just say this. Let me just say this, right? So Mariah and I, we talked about this on the way here. Man, we're studiers. We prep, we prepare, we do research, we read commentaries. Yeah. Listen, these two are a walk-in podcast.
Yeah.
Like you can just talk to them and they can go 10 miles deep on anything. Yeah. And so Mariah and I, man, we need some prep and some study time, but so they're up here like, hey, you ask a dumb question, we'll make it a good question. I'm gonna be like, bro, that's a dumb question. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ask it again.
That's awesome. Pastor Branamier is gonna call you out regardless, all right? How many of you guys have been a byproduct of that? That's awesome. Jeff, so I was reading a little bit up on your book, right? Prison Break. Now, in your book, you say one of the big reasons people pleasers often feel constantly shortchanged is because they look at situations and say, well, it's a good enough outcome, or it's a good job, or my relationship is good. The issue with good is that it's not right. I really would hope that you could expand a little bit on that concept and that thought, and maybe perhaps how you've used it in a practical sense.
Yeah. When you look at the idea of life, and part of the reason why I wrote that is because when you deal with people pleasing, we find ourselves settling for good situations. And I think that when we talk about going for life and what God has for us, God doesn't want us to have good situations. He wants us to have the right situation.
Yeah.
And so what happens is we settle for good relationships, not the right relationship. You settle for good job opportunities, but not the right job opportunities. And so my whole goal and my prayer personally was like, I was the type of dude who was always, I could find the gold in a pile of poop. Like that's me. Like I'll find the good in it. And my wife is just, y'all know my Nadia, she's just, she's straight, no, that's ugly. No, that's poop. You ain't gonna find nothing in there. I'm digging like, baby, no, there's gold in here, And so I say that because when it comes to living our life or trying to build a company or trying to become who we want to become, bro, we just get, I think what happens why we settle for good is because we've been in the bad for so long. We've been in the terrible for so long. We've been in the ugly for so long. And so we like, yo, this is good. Yeah. Like this feels like I can breathe. At least I'm not broke like I used to. And so we settle for the good areas when I just feel like God wants us to have the right areas. And so when you know your identity and you know who you are and you know what you're worth, you won't settle for good business opportunities or good partnerships. You pray and you ask God, Lord, I want the right one. Because if I have to compromise who I am to get something that seems like it's good, and chances are it's probably not the right situation.
That's good. That's really good. Branamier was talking a little bit about that today, right? About when we came into this building and you challenged the whole entire team, like, hey, don't get comfortable. And I think it's sometimes we can fool ourselves into thinking that it's okay to be comfortable. And regardless, the reality is that anybody who wants to burn a path, right? Who wants to build a business, who wants to take the step into entrepreneurship, there's no sense of the word of comfortability. Right. The whole entire road constantly is uncomfortability, right? And so that was so good. Thank you for that.
Well, I think you could even touch this too. I think that the thought behind a leveled up life is there's always a new level, right? And so the truth is, like in any business or any ministry or any organization, like you do kind of arrive at a place of comfort. Like we're not talking about like we're never happy. Like we want to get to a place of like, man, my family's comfortable. Like this is good here. But I just think that there's always something on the inside of us that says there's still more to come. Right. Like there's still another level. So maybe speak to that a little bit.
Well, yeah, I think for one, a lot of people are playing a finite game, and the game's really supposed to be an infinite game. And what I mean by that is,
hold on. Say that one more time.
So the finite game is there's a deadline. there's a goal that once it's hit, it's over, right? Like a football game, it's a finite game.
Right.
But life is not a finite game. It's an infinite game. We never stop getting to a place where there's growth ahead. And so when we're playing a finite game and it's actually an infinite game, that's going to lead us to frustration and a place where fulfillment is always fleeting. Because once we get there becomes here, and now we're just chasing the next there. And so if we are working through our life with a growth mindset, saying, hey, I got to get better every day, and I'm process focused, which is every day, how can I get a little bit better in my faith? How can I get my family a little better? How can I get my fitness a little better? How can I get my business a little better? Well, that's an infinite game because it never stops. You could always get better. And so I think the shift has to go from, this isn't a game where there's a deadline. This isn't a place where once I get my family here, then I'm good. Once I get my business here, then I'm good. Once I get my financial situation, my bank account looks like this, then I'm good. Because what'll happen is you're gonna get there and realize you ain't good. And so you gotta continue to focus on just getting better every day. And if you do that, as you grow 1% better every day, you're gonna feel pretty fulfilled every day. And then as you look back in your life, man, you're gonna be not experiencing a good life, you're going to experience the right life, which the right life that God's called you to is going to be the great life.
Come on, put
That's
your hands
so
together
good.
for that
That's
answer.
so good. Yeah, that's good. You know, Paul, the first time I had ever heard of that concept, right, the infinite and the finite, is by a leadership coach by the name of Simon Sinek, right? And he talks about there's two players in the game. There's the player that plays to continue the game and the player that just wants to win. And maybe perhaps some of you guys know that particular person, or maybe if you don't, maybe it's probably you. Maybe you're the infinite player who wants to just play the game, right? Take yourself back to when you were a kid, right? And you were on the playground. You just wanted the game to continue. It wasn't about who won or who lost. It was more about, can we just get another game? Can we just continue playing? And when the game ended, that was when you were like, dude, can I just continue the game? Like, can I just get back into it, right? And so I think it's so critical and important to know what's your win, right? What are you playing for? Are you playing to win? Which is a cool, reward and all, but I think ultimately the goal should always be to continue the game, right?
100%.
It's the start of it. It's the start of it all. So that's so good. Thank you, Paul. You're a G, man.
Let me just say this. My wife, Mariah, preached the house down
Yeah, she
today.
did.
Come on, would you
talk
make some
about
noise?
it.
She did.
I'm so glad that I had like buffers before me.
Bro,
I just started grabbing my car keys like I'm out of here. Yo. He's like, do you want roast beef? No, I want to go home. I don't want turkey or roast beef. I want to go home.
No, we were talking today just amongst ourselves, and Jeff just made a comment like, man, there is no reason why Mariah should not be speaking at conferences around the world, man.
Yeah.
The way she just speaks the word of God and declares the truth and reminds us of who we are, man, it's just unbelievable. And so I just want to maybe ask you a question real quick in front of everyone. Like, tell me where the thought came from. Like, this is a leadership conference, but you led with faith as a foundation, and it was the perfect segue into everything that we talked about, the practicalities of life and business. But you got to lay that foundation. And so why faith? You said if I had to preach one message for the rest of my life, it would be faith. Like, why faith? Why is it so important? Like, why'd you go there? Because you didn't ask me for any help. You were like, I got this, babe.
Hey.
Like, don't bug me. I don't need your insight. Like, I got all. And the Lord knows she didn't need me because I would have messed that up. So just talk about why faith. Why'd you go down that route to start?
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, if you're watching this and you're like, is it going to be shared what she spoke about? Because that was high praise. No, it's not. You got to get here the next time, all right? Get in the building and you can hear Pastor Mariah bring it the way she brought it. Because I'm telling you, there was a lot of shifts that took place today with people saying, I'm going after another version of myself. So it was that good.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you. Honestly, when I was thinking of what I was going to talk about today, I thought of what Leveled Up Life talks about. And my options were faith, family, finance, franchise, or fitness. And I thought, you know what, my thing is faith. Like Brand said, if I could talk on one thing, it would be on this topic of faith. My life, God has radically transformed my life through faith. Faith in Him, faith to believe God for more, faith to believe for my future, faith for my kids, for my marriage. Like this one word of faith, I feel like it's almost like a gift. We operate in faith. And I feel like I've seen God come through, and I have so much history with God on this topic of faith. And so for me, I was like, man, I'm so excited to talk on faith. And I feel like it's something that God has given me to give to the world. So yeah. That's what I got.
Yeah. You know what? You know what's funny is that yesterday when we were having our Q&A interview session, that was the question that was asked, right? It was, if you could preach on one message for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah.
And Mariah said faith. And so it was really cool for you to expand on that. Real quick, just one last question was actually for Mariah. What's a limiting belief you had to overcome to reach your next level in life?
Good question.
A limiting belief. I would say, I think we all have our own struggle, right? We all have kind of our own giant, so to speak, that we have to overcome. And it may not be a one-time thing, but it may be a daily thing. I have to daily overcome this belief. Or this disbelief, right? For me, it is, and you'll hear me preach it a lot, but it's this idea that I'm not qualified. It's this idea that I never went to seminary. I'm not knowledgeable, and like I don't have enough. I don't have what it takes. I graduated from Options for Youth. And if you know what that is, that's for anyone that gets kicked out of school, like that's where you go. That was me. And so
Don't scroll down her Facebook page, right?
Oh, there was some alumni in there.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
I know, did you hear that?
What? You got some alumni. Yeah.
Oh gosh, no. I think for me that's my belief that I have to conquer. Not just once, but it's every time I come up to this platform. Yeah. I truly have to remind myself, no, this is who you are. This is what you're called to do. You've got an anointing. You've got the oil. You've got enough. God is with you. Christ in you. You are more than a conqueror.
So good.
Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I have to intentionally tell myself who I am. Because just like I preached earlier, your thoughts will try to tell you who you are. The world will try to tell you who you are. And so that's something for me. Did I answer your question?
Oh, phenomenally.
Hey, let me say something to that real
Phenomenally.
quick, because we get on the podcast, and every time we get on a podcast, she's like, what am I going to talk about? And I hear the flavor of that limiting belief, and I know how much of a lie that is, because this wasn't the first time this morning I heard her preach. For some of you guys, you're like, what are you talking about? Like, you're overqualified. Like, you made all these guys look bad. But
Facts.
what I want to say is this, like, I've seen that because I've known Mariah for a long time. I'm her brother-in-law. And I intentionally make sure I remind her that ain't the case. And so Brian will be like, hey, can you send a message? And I'll send a message like, hey, you're going to kill this thing. Like, and I just think that everybody has that. Everybody does. They have some limiting belief. That's why I love when Mariah said, like, well, you know which one you got? Everybody's got one. You got to get people around you that can remind you that ain't the truth. That the truth is that you've got the best in you. The truth is you've got a gift that God's given you. And so I would just encourage you guys, if you want to help with that limiting belief, get around some good people that can help spotlight the fact that is in fact a lie from the enemy. And the truth is, a lot of times what you believe is your limiting belief is a belief that's going to take you to really expose a gift that God's given you. And so get people around that they can expose that, because like I said before, the great gift that you've got in your heart is typically the thing that you disqualify because you got a mask of judgment over yourself. So you're so critical because it's your gift. So you're always thinking like it could be better. It's not that good. And you're looking at the flaws, but no, that's your gift. And so I think the enemy, a lot of times, if he can get that seed in baby form, just like in Exodus with Moses, if they could kill Moses before he was born, if they could kill Jesus before he was born, then if you could kill the seed before it becomes a king, then the effect and the impact that it's going to have never comes to pass. And so I would just encourage you to get good people around you to make sure that they're encouraging you that, man, that's a lie. Like that, because you need it all the time. Like the next time she's on the podcast, it's probably going to be the same thing. She's like, Brand, I can't do what we're going to talk about. Like, I'm not qualified. And he's like, what are you talking about? We just talked about it at this leadership conference. Like, it was on stage. You want to watch the video back? And it's still going to be there. Why? Because the enemy knows how to attack us, right? And he'll continue to attack us the same way. He's not that creative. He's not that clever. It'll be the same way. But the reality is we can continue to get better at defending it.
That's so good. That's so good. Can we make some noise for this live panel? All right, so at this time, we are going to open up the live Q&A panel. So can I get 5 people, whoever can rush over to Ashley over here, 5 people who have a question, go ahead and run right over here to Ashley. First five will get the question asked.
Go to the corner right here.
Awesome. Just quick thing, as they're lining up and as Ashley's doing her due diligence there, one question for you, Jeff. Now I know your son has a clothing line, right?
Yeah.
So I've done the research, right?
Okay, I see,
got
Chris,
you.
okay.
I got you. So here's the thing. So I know your son has a clothing line. What I was curious about was how have you harvested that spirit of entrepreneurship in your family to the point where your son said, you know what, I'm gonna do what my dad does and I'm gonna start a business.
Man, he's sending me screenshots and I'm in other continents like, yo, Wody, I just made $2,000. I'm like, how you make $2,000? Like, let me borrow some money, you know? But honestly, how I looked at it is you won't know what your child is capable of if you're not paying attention to him. And so what I started doing is I was watching what he was already leaning into, not what I wanted him to lean up against. And so when I saw him, he loves fashion. My son is like fashion, in and out the game. He'll get clothes and then flip them, sell them for more money, and use that to go get more. And so for my son, Jaden, it was easy for me to see where he wanted to go. And so I asked him like, hey, son, like, what are you doing? Like with what you have? He said, well, Dad, I want to do this. So I took the time to watch where his heart was at, and I nurtured where he was good at. I wasn't focused on, do you have straight A's? You better have a 4.0 GPA. Now, he got a 3.7. But what I'm saying is I began to find out what was important to him, and I made it important to me. And so I think a lot of our kids would thrive, whether he plays competitive soccer, but whether he played the violin, whether he was on the chess team or the debate team, I began to look where his giftings were and then started giving him ways to nurture that. The same with my daughter, Mariah, with her art.
That's good. That's so good. Thank you so much. Can we make some noise for this panel? Alrighty. Go ahead and say your name, Josh, and then ask your question.
Okay, my name is Josh Mallett, and my question will be for Paul McClain. Really respect you, by the way. You're a tremendous father, and everything you've done for your daughter is amazing. So my girlfriend couldn't make it here, so I'm going to represent all the single men and women of this world who understand how difficult it is to find a partner. So she texted me, how do I know if this relationship is from God? What are signs I should look for? How do I filter out negative input from others? Whoa.
That's a good question. I might answer it as if it was a bad one. Man, I think at the end of the day, like, when you get close, like for me, what I want for my daughter, if I use Peyton as an example, she's about to be 18. What I want for her is to find a guy that's after God. So like, if they're after God, if the person that you're dating is after God and they're in a hot pursuit to develop and strengthen that relationship, they might not be perfect. In fact, we know they're not going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. But they're going to start having things worked out that need to be worked out. And I think for me, it was easy in the front end to think like, do they have all these check boxes, checked, right? And the reality is, a lot of times we've got this list that we want to have match up. I'm not saying that there's not a bad idea to have a list. I think it's a good idea to have a list. But if we over-glorify things on that list and minimize the thing that matters most on that list, which is faith, we're in trouble. So if they mark the list as far as attraction, as far as money, as far as all these other things, but they are not after God, they might not have the strongest faith now, but they're in pursuit. They want that to level up. They want their faith to get bigger and better. I believe that that's the most crucial thing. And so I think equal yoke is like, it's your faith. It ain't anything more or less than that. If they're developing a stronger faith, they're going to develop a better relationship, because God's got to be in the center of that relationship, because things are going to fall apart. It ain't always going to look the way it's going to look. There's going to be seasons that relationship's going to go through. But if both are after God, they'll get through it.
Very good. That's good. Make some noise for Josh. Now, this is in real time, Paul. This is actually Peyton's boyfriend.
Hey, so you can't ask me the question. You got me all the time, bro. Find somebody else.
All right.
All right, Jeff, I'll give this one to you. Sometimes I question whether I'm going the right direction with my faith, career, or relationships. And I'm just curious, when do you know when it's time to pivot versus push through?
That's
My
a
name is
good
Caden.
question. Okay, Peyton, I see you, girl. The Bible says you'll know a man by its fruit. And no good tree can bear bad fruit, and no bad tree can bear good fruit. When you know something is a time to pivot is when you no longer have any fruit in it. Or when the fruit that you're getting, when I mean fruit, I mean outcome that you're getting is an outcome that you don't want. And so more times than not, when we start something, we keep trying to push through, but it's costing everything else around us to die. And you keep trying to push, you're trying to push, and you have no results, you have no growth, you have no nothing. And so some people say, well, that's a sign that you got to push harder. No. When you have fruit, you may not see the fullness of the fruit, but you should be able to see some buds of the fruit. You should be able to see it go a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. You're not just, no fruit tree just comes out and you got a full-blown pomegranate. It starts as a little flower and then it starts growing a little bit bigger. So if what you're doing is producing no fruit, it means that if it's spiritually, it's not producing any fruit. In other words, it's not making you want to become better. Spiritually, it's not pulling you closer to God, but it's pulling you away from God. That's something that's not bearing good fruit. If the relationship is pulling you further away from God and further from who you know you're supposed to be, it's not good fruit. If it comes to a career and you're choosing the career based off of money, and that's not the fruit that you really desire, it's not good fruit, it's bad fruit. And so how you know you gotta pull it is when you're not seeing any of the results that you desire to see in your life. It's an indicator that you need to stop doing what you're doing.
That's so good. Make some noise for Caden.
I hope that helped. Can they say that was a dumb answer? Can they say?
My name is JP. I guess my question is, as a leader, how does the conversation change that you have with the people you love when they keep showing up as the same version as themselves? And that version is, living for the worldly items versus you as an individual is prioritizing what you believe to be true: faith, fitness, family, finances, things of that nature.
I think I'll take this one. I think it's almost like my first point today is like, you just got to be the example. The truth is you can only control what you can control, right, JP? So as God's working in your life and you're going after these new levels, especially in your faith, right? It's new to a lot of people in your life because they know the old you. They know the you that you used to be. And so when you become this new version of you, number one, I think it draws out a lot of insecurities in themselves. And so what's actually happening is they're projecting on you, and what they're saying is, JP, who do you think you are? All of a sudden you're better than us. All of a sudden you go to church. All of a sudden you're posting about God. And really what it is, it's a reflection of the things that they want to do, but they simply don't know how to express it yet. So it comes off as like, let me not just do that. But inside there's actually their spirit is craving what you're possessing. And so what I would encourage you to do is just keep getting better, keep growing, keep being the example. And what happens is eventually they're going to do one of two things. They're going to either separate themselves from you, right? They're going to make that hard cut and go, I can't deal with this new version of JP anymore because it's making me feel so bad about myself that I have to remove myself from that environment. Or the right answer would be is eventually they would see so much fruit and goodness in you that they would go, dude, I don't know what it is, but I want what you got. Can you share with me what's going on in your life? And at that point, if you've been producing and doing the right things, you might not have all the answers, but you know the one who does. And so you just say, hey, come with me to church, come with me to this connect group, come with me to this small group, come with me to the office, and you get them around the heat and you let the environment then train them up and teach them the ways of the Lord, if that makes sense. So
There's a statement that I heard that I thought was so dope to the point that you made is the challenge is if I'm growing and I choose to create boundaries, then somehow that means that I don't love my people. And what I've learned is you can love everyone, but not everyone gets the same level of access. And so when you're growing like that, you can love all of your family members, But for your protection as you're growing, that doesn't mean you have to give them the same level of access as you're growing. And so I think that'd be dope.
That's good. Thank you.
What's up, guys? My name is Michael. You guys obviously know me. So being a little vulnerable here, Mariah actually said something that really impacted me. She said, the way that you see yourself is so important because it can create a reality that is contradictory to your identity. That's something I feel like I struggle with a lot, from childhood, past stuff. So I wanted to ask you, what are some practical ways that you battle those limiting beliefs of self-doubt, self-condemnation, and fear of failure?
It's good. I think kind of like what I shared earlier, right? We're telling ourselves who we are. You got to know who you are. I also love what Paul said too, because Paul, I was actually going to share that as well. The power of your circle, right? The power of who you let into your space, right? I am the queen of boundaries. So if you need any advice on boundaries, I'm your girl. But I think who you allow, what voices we allow into our life, I think is critical. The way my mind thinks is if you say something to me, I will remember that word for word for the rest of my life. Like quotes that you say, things that I've heard, like that's just the way my mind works. And so I pick something, I pick an affirmation, I pick a truth, I pick a scripture, I pick a chapter of the Bible, and I will memorize the crap out of that, and I will quote it every time that limiting belief begins to pop into my head. And then I go to my husband, I'm like, babe, I can't do this. And then I get a voice that says, yes, you can. You could do this, you could rise above this. This is who you've been called to be. So I hope that helps, but I mean, that's a very practical thing that I apply all the time.
That's good. That's good. Make some noise.
Hey, the one thing I'd say to that too is like we're called to take every thought captive, right? And so what Mariah just said is so powerful. I want everybody to get that. Like the battleground is in your mind for everybody. That's where the warfare is. And so once you find that thing that replaces the lie with the truth, because those self-limiting beliefs are always the lies. If you can write it, and then you could read it, and then you can think it, and you do that over and over again, I promise you it'll change everything. So I don't want you to discount what she just said as far as being able to go out there and take action on it. I promise you, if you leave today and you find, heck, you could probably ChatGPT it. This is my limiting belief. What scripture is good with it? It'll tell you, right? You ain't even got to do the research and like trying to read like 1,000 scriptures. Like it'll tell you. And then just read that and write it. So every morning, now part of your morning routine is like, okay, this is the lie, but this is the truth. And so you read it, you write it, you speak it, you think it. If you do that every day, I promise you over a long period of time, through repetition of message, that new thought is gonna be more familiar than the old thought, and you're always gonna move to the thought that's most familiar. And so it's such a valuable thing.
That's great, thank you. That's good.
Hi, I'm Darlene Velasquez, and this question is for Pastor Brand. So you talked about delegation, and I am somebody that I'll as a leader, I'll do it all myself, right, Gina? And I so want to delegate, and I have, but how do you keep delegating when, and not get discouraged as a leader or anybody, when people don't follow through on assignments or it keeps ending up back on you?
That's a good question. I think, number one, you got to have the right people, right? So you got to have the right people on your team. So the truth is sometimes you just might have the wrong person on your team. Yeah. Like I've fired a lot of people in ministry and in my business because you give them, something to do. And if they don't, you could either, retrain or rehire. And so after you've retrained, so many different times and they're still not, catching the vision or they're still not doing it the way you've asked and you've gone above and beyond to try to show them the right way, the vision that you have to do something, the truth might be just part ways, right? But I don't know. I just think giving people opportunity. I think a lot of times, however you were raised up is typically the way that you'll lead. And so my leaders, when we first got into ministry, they were like, hey, yo, go out and do your thing, right? And they gave us a lot of freedom. They gave us a long leash. And so what it did was it allowed us to go out and make mistakes. It allowed us to go out and figure out who we are in no pressure environments. And so I just think because I was taught to lead that way, that's just naturally how I lead, right? And so when people come on my team, like I give long leashes until I have to rein it back in. And so it really just depends on you. Like if someone, I'm gonna start out with trust. Like I'm gonna start out trusting and believing that what you say is what you're gonna do. And over time, if you break my trust, well now there's a boundary there. Now I'm not gonna delegate as much to you. Now I'm not gonna give you as much authority and responsibility. And over time, if there's just simply no trust, then at some point you gotta part ways. That's just the truth, right? What would you say that, Paul? You managed.
I mean, I think 100%. There's a process of delegation. So what Brian's saying is 100% right. Sometimes it's the wrong person, and then at the same time, as a leader, you always look back at yourself and say, "Well, let me just pretend it's me." Yeah. Right. It's one like Brian said this today. Like leadership is one of those things where when the light is shining on you because you got great results, you shine on somebody else, and when it ain't going right, you fall on the sword. You know, and so I think the process of delegation is like, okay, watch me and take notes. And let me ask you what you're learning while you're watching me doing the very thing that I eventually want to delegate. And then let me watch you and give you really some great correction while you're doing that thing. And then you go do it, right? And then empowering them and equipping them and instilling belief that once they've watched me, and then once I've watched them and they've done it the right way, I'm gonna instill as much belief as possible so that way as they get sent on their way, they're gonna do it with excellence. And I think that's the process of delegation. So for me, a lot of times I found in leadership, as I was building organizations, I would just assume, it was like the curse of knowledge. I just assumed you got it because it was so second nature to me. It's like, you don't understand how this works? It's like, no, fool, you've been doing it for 17 years. Yeah. Like I started 17 minutes ago. It's like, oh yeah. Now let me think about how I was when I was day one. And that's why I love to be able to partner a new person with somebody that's not years ahead, but that's shortly ahead of them, because they're more in the knowing of what it felt like to be day one. And so to me, I realized the curse of knowledge was a real thing, and it messed me up in my delegation process because I would take things for granted that they would just get it and they understood it, but I didn't either. It's just second nature because I've done it so long. So I think just evaluate the delegation process, and that might help out as far as actually letting that go. And when it's let go of, it actually grows.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So, hey, how's it going? So I love everything I heard today. It's, really overcoming the inner person that holds you back. I heard a little glimpse of it from the people who asked before me. So I'm, 18 years into salvation. God's done a great work in my life. My level up experience right now has got me in a new area where some of the relationships closest to me are now strained because of the work that God is doing in me. Now, not in my home. So in my home, we're in unity. But I'm talking about very close, like, what do you call it? First family relationships are now being strained because me and my family are getting to that next level, which is changing some of the dynamic of those relationships that have been there for so long. So we've really uncovered some unhealthiness. As we're correcting it, we notice that there's pushback on us, and it kind of has us in a weird area where it's like, wow, we really want to move forward, but our first family is so important to us. So, we typically would, obviously have stricter boundaries on people who are not our family, but this is family. So I just kind of want to get your perspective. I know, Mariah, you said queen of boundaries. I love that. What's healthy boundaries for close family?
That's good. Let me say, I would answer this the same way that Jeff Osborne would answer that. So how would you answer that, Jeff? It's gonna be good. Watch.
Fantastic. No pressure whatsoever. Man, I think of the story of Jesus when he was in the Bible. And they came to him, and Jesus was living in his purpose. He was living his identity. And they came out and said, yo, your family wants you to stop. Like, they're trying to get a hold of you, and they want you. And Jesus asked the question. He said, who is my family? He said, those who do the will of my Father, those are my brothers and sisters. And I think that some of the idols that we place in our life are our family just because they're blood. And when it comes to you doing what God is calling you to do, sometimes it takes the boldness to say, we got to be about our Father's business. And that what you think of us is none of our business. And it sounds very harsh. It sounds very hard, but they have two options. Either they respect and honor what God is calling you and your family to do, or they don't. But if your family are the ones that are holding you back from living in the fullness of who God has called you to be, then you got a bigger problem than just your family. There's possibly areas in your life where you've resurrected their opinion higher than God's. And so when it comes to being great and when it comes to being who God has called you to be, I would give this caveat. If how you guys are living your life for the Lord is not looking down on them and causing the tension of them, like every time you're around them, you're slapping them with the Bible and talking about how much of a heathen they are or how they're not motivated and driven and how you got to get like us, then that's one problem. And that's something that you got to fix. But if they're irritated because your level of excellence is irritating their mediocrity, then it's a sign that sometimes people just like you where they found you. And so I would encourage you as you move, you can encourage them and say, hey, listen, this is where we're going. This is how we're thinking. This is what God is calling us to. Feel free to come along with us. Feel free to journey with us. However, if you're going to continue with this type of behavior, just know that we're going to have to limit the access that you have as we continue to build.
That's so good.
That's how
so
Branamier
good.
would say it.
Hey, have y'all been blessed by this panel? All right, now, before we go, we've just entered into our Level Up Blitz, all right? 4 questions, 4 speakers, quick, fast. This is not the time to expand on it. Just go ahead and answer it right away, okay? This first one is for Jeff. Jeff, what is your top book besides the Bible? Okay, we know you're gonna answer the Bible. What's the first one? Top book.
Prison Break.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, don't say your book, you know what I'm saying? Shameless plug.
No, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I read a lot of business books, which are great, but I got to give you the book that has changed my life the most, and it's actually impacted my business, is a book that's not even about business. The book is Spiritual Secrets to Success by Watchman Nee.
Write that down. Yep.
Spiritual Secrets to Power. Spiritual Secrets to Power by Watchman Nee.
Paul, this next one's for you. If you could start any business with any set individual in the history of business, who would that individual be?
Man, dude, I would say Jesus. That'd be an easy way to scale pretty fast, I think. I don't know, man. That's a tough bit. Yeah, I would probably say, because I was thinking about this book as Jeff was answering his question. I mean, if I was going to start a business, it'd probably be like with Craig Rochelle, just because of what he's done. He's a pioneer for a model of a life that is attractive to me. Like what he's done, he started the Bible Lab, Live Church. He's a mentor of big name pastors. He's not just in the faith world, he's in the secular world in a big way. He's got a leadership podcast that's unbelievable. I mean, I just feel like he's a guy that if you said, who's the biggest impact player that provides the most value to people, that's probably who pops into my head, right? And my desire would be to want to partner and go into business with somebody that's got the same values, missions, and goals that I've got. And I think he'd be the closest to align with that.
That's so good. That's so good. Branamier, this next question's for you. If you could take one person in all of history with you, and you could take them and you were stranded on an island, who would be that person that you would take with you?
I think that's a pretty
You can't say
obvious,
Mariah.
easy-
You can't say
Why
Mariah,
not?
okay?
I mean, I don't want to be on
You
an
can't say
island with anyone
Mariah.
else. She would feed me. She would take care of me.
Dang.
She would partner with me. We would survive. She's athletic. Like we could make it happen. And so I don't.
Awesome.
If I was stranded on an island with anyone, it would have to be her. I wouldn't. Paul, love you, bro, but I think we'd probably.
I would be worried if you said me, by the way.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes, aww. Okay, so
that's my real answer. I don't know.
That was good. That was good. We'll take it. We're going to take it. Mariah, this last one's for you, and this is how we're going to conclude. If you could write anything on a billboard, what would your billboard say?
Mine's hard.
That's deep.
If I could write anything on a billboard, what would my billboard say? That's a good one. Jesus is king. Faith, you need it. Yeah, that's it.
Jesus is King. Faith, you need it. Can we please give a round of applause for this panel?
Hey, for those watching online, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the places, right? Leveled Up Life. Thanks for tuning in. Be strong, stay steadfast, and we love you. God bless you guys.